Time for Game 7 in this Best of 9 series. Currently, Scarbrand, the red team, is up 4-2. Kaiju here fighting for his life, trying to stay alive in the series, and picked the Wood Elves. Here, he's going up against Slaanesh, so we're already getting the forces surging forward. Let's take a look at the builds. We've got Durthu already unleashing his Lamentation of Despair here. Front line's going to be Eternal Guards with shields. We've got some Starfire Shafts as well. A couple of Zoats. Good choice here. Blade Riders with Spears. 3 of them. And that's basically it. Yeah, mix of Hagbane Tips and regular Glade Guard here. Looks like maybe 1-2 Starfire Shafts just in case of some armor. And the rest for Slaanesh. We've got a Herald on the Steed. I don't know if I've actually seen the Herald on the Steed all that much, but potentially a really great mount option. As we know, 100 speed, just great stats all the way around. Doesn't have the armor, but still. Strider, Devastating Flanker, Lore of Shadows here with Melkos, Mystifying Miasma. Rest of the build is going to be Demonettes and Fiends, along with some Pleasure Seekers and Seekers out on the flank. So all Demons build. Very brave and awesome. And let's see how it's going to do here as these Demonettes charge on in. Pleasure Seekers as well are going to drop a nasty no-cost Mystifying Miasma before absolutely crushing these Glade Riders on the charge. So we'll try and reinforce. The question is, will they be able to get there before Glade Riders are just completely dead? Hard to say. Taking a little bit of range fire as well, but Demonettes also collapse on the flank here, as do the Fiends. Exalted Demonettes. Zoats all of a sudden run into a huge problem as massive resources are poured into them. But a nice Flock of Doom from Durthu is going to help even things out a little bit. On the other side, the Zoats are doing much better with Spear and Cavalry support, holding off these Demonettes, and the Fiends just absolutely dropping like flies in the front line. Some of the Demonettes as well that have been lit up by arrows are also crumbling almost instantly. Very quick gameplay on this Wood Elves versus Slaanesh here, but the Zoats on this side are already dead. The Herald managed to take a good amount of damage herself in that engagement, but Slaanesh collapsing this flank very decisively. Seekers here in the center also got just evaporated by everything. And that's quite an expensive unit to just disappear into the mist like that, but there you go, or into the sands rather. What is this? Spider Desert? Something like that. It's a classic map from Warhammer 2. One of the best multiplayer maps, in my opinion. Very surprised it didn't get made into a Conquest map. But anyway, yeah, Pleasure Seekers also run through. Gonna get on these Glade Guard here, start to shut them down. But the incidental damage of the Hagbane Tips continuing to stay focused on those high-value targets, as they should, even as the walls are closing in around them. Fleshy, wet, slappy walls. The Demonettes also, of course, very spiky. But more Flock of Doom will help stabilize things. Durthu himself also completely unopposed at this point. He is kind of a nightmare for Slaanesh to deal with because he's got massive armor, massive damage, and also deals magic damage. Cut through that physical resistance. Flock of Doom, great here. Sword of Daith, also great here, as is Lamentation of Despair. So really, Durthu is just absolutely charged up and cracked in this matchup. But let's see how he can hold out right now. Most of his army is pretty much gone. He's got a handful of Eternal Guards hanging around trying to help. Zoats also charge in, but they don't have the best attack stats against infantry. In the meantime, they're going to take quite a bit of damage in return from Slaanesh. Yeah, Zoats don't really have a lot of defensive stats. Physical resistance, of course, wouldn't even matter here anyway, which might come into play against Durthu. Of course, Slaanesh, even though they can struggle sometimes against large armored targets, they do have great armor piercing and magic damage in a surround. So that's going to be how they have to deal with Durthu here. But the goal for Scarbrand should be to just clean up the rest of the supporting troops first, and then see if he has enough to cycle charge Durthu in the late game. But definitely don't want to be trying to cycle charge him while he has supporting units nearby. And so Wisely is going to go eat up these Glade Guard here. Of course, the Pleasure Seekers will also regenerate while they're chasing routing units with that Feasting on Fears, so it's a good idea to kind of have them maybe clean up some stuff here. But these Demonettes actually just failed to kill Durthu. This is what I'm talking about. With that Spear support, he's able to just run around and smack their models with that giant Amber Sword, do his Flock of Dooms, and Demonettes will disappear. But Melkos Mystifying Miasma going to help chip down that Eternal Guard. while more Demonettes and Pleasure Seekers chase the routing Hagbane tips. Over here, the Fiends and the Herald also going to be chasing these Starfire shafts. The Glade Guards are pretty much done now at this point. Durthu just left to defend for himself, wishing this was Conquest, probably, so he could just defend an objective here. But nonetheless, he's going to switch Durthu to attack the Demonettes and have the... Ooh, at least almost got a brace there with the Eternal Guards. Unfortunately, they did not actually get braced. And the charge damage plus the Melkoth Mystifying Miasma is going to take them out. Flock of Doom in response, though, will finish off the Demonettes. And it's not going to do a crazy amount of damage to the Fiends, but it will help over time. But now it's just the elites of Slaanesh left to contend with the Great Durthu. Pleasure Seekers and Fiends cycling in, cycling out. Doing the spin wash cycle. Except they forgot their detergent. I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea. Maybe Weed Whacker is more appropriate for this circumstance, or the Lawnmower. Lawnmower's also spin, right? Sure, let's go with that. Narcissism being used here as well, just to silence Durthu so he can't pop another Melkoth during this critical late-game engagement. The Herald is also cycle charging, or not Melkoth, Flock of Doom, rather. Melkoth is being popped there on the Eternal Guard. And Durthu's getting some good attacks in. The Pleasure Seekers, ooh, that silence runs out. They're going to catch the tail end of that Flock of Doom. And they also got whacked super hard there. Yep, their demonic instability kicks in. And now it's just the Fiends and the Herald. Skarbrand trying to finish off the series. Kaiju here holding out very admirably. Question is, can Durthu hold? He's got 10 Eternal Guards here who are not going to be worth much, but might, you know, get killed on the charge by the Fiends. And maybe block them from doing like an attack animation or two on Durthu. Or they'll just get Melkoth Mystifying Miasma and do absolutely nothing as they all die. Yep. Yep. That is exactly what happens. Literally all die. Lamentation of Despair, which technically has no max uses, so the more... Oh, this random Demonette comes in from nowhere. Must have been forgotten at the side of the map after chasing some stuff off. That's actually going to make a pretty big difference here. Although they are going to get hit by Flocks of Doom. The Fiend's getting quite low. They can provide a little bit of rear charge damage here, as can the Herald as well. The Fiends are going to crumble demonically. And then the Herald gets hit there. Who actually manages to not get hit, mostly. The attacks instead landing on the Demonettes. And they are doing some damage. If we highlight Durthu's HP, you can see it dropping pretty consistently. And a little bit of Melkoth there, just to add whatever absolute chip damage. Not going to do much, but it's something. And every little bit counts in a very pitched situation like this. Keep the health bars away to build some suspense. As Durthu holds out. And the cycle charging Herald continues to run around, slither through the sands. Try and find the right angles to attack here, but another Melkoth, and I can't imagine these Demonettes are doing too well. You see quite a few blowing up there. But Durthu actually gets routed. Wow, very impressed. Yeah, I thought maybe he died there actually, but no, just gets straight up routed. And that will be a victory for Slaanesh, just by the absolute skin of their, well, it's Slaanesh. I'll let you decide. Anyway, great series, great games from these two. Big thanks to Kaiju for sending this one in. Man, don't say no one ever sends in losses, because this is like, it's a best of 9 loss, which means he had to lose 5 games, but still got 2, and there was quite a few really good games in there, so big appreciation. Everyone, round of applause in the comments for Kaiju. Sending this in for our enjoyment, and definitely was enjoyable for sure. Had some really great games across the board here, and in this one just wasn't quite enough for Durthu to hold out at the end. I can't help but think maybe, I don't know, trade like one of the, or a couple of the Glade Riders out for like a Branch Wraith, maybe just for a tiny bit of healing. I don't know if it would have really made the difference here. Probably needed all that Winds of Magic for Flocks of Doom, but yeah, maybe over-investment on the archers, perhaps, but at the same time, they got good value, so hard to really criticize too much. I do think the Glade Riders kind of evaporated a little bit too quickly. Granted, terrain played a part in that. Slaanesh was able to close a good distance kind of in cover, And so Scarbrand got a nice flank ambush there. Just overload the one side and absolutely smash. Yeah, Pleasure Seekers and Fiends doing very well on that flank. Opposite flank did not do quite as well. And one Seeker also just runs to their doom. But Demonettes mixed bag. Some of them do very well. One of them does not perform. And then one of them does kind of average. Exalted Demonettes also among those that did perform quite well. And then the Herald, although she didn't get a ton of raw value herself, that late game cycle charging was tactically absolutely critical in finishing off Scarbrand. So, or Durthu. Scarbrand is the player, yes. Sorry guys, I'm a little under the weather today. But anyway, yeah, Durthu, 3,500 value, like 21,000 damage dealt. He's an absolute powerhouse and a very good pick in this matchup. Absolutely. Just a good pick in general, to be honest. I love Durthu. Hopefully you do too. If you do, be sure to like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification button so when I upload new videos, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.